Rome isn't a museum with a plaque on it. It's a city built in layers, one on top of another for almost 3,000 years. And most of what's down there still hasn't been found. But before we go down into these 10 places with you, if this kind of story grabs you, drop a like right now. Seriously, it helps this channel keep digging up stories like this for you. Look, most people think they know Rome, the Colosseum, the Forum, maybe a selfie by the Trevi Fountain. But here's the thing, the Rome you can see is barely half the story. There's another city underneath it. Miles of tunnels, tombs, temples nobody was supposed to find, and rooms that have been sealed in darkness since before Jesus was born. And the archaeologists who've spent their careers down there, a lot of them will tell you, off the record, that some of these places still get under their skin. Not because of ghosts, because of what they don't understand yet. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to look at the ground under Rome completely differently. Let's start at number 10, the Cloaca Maxima. Sounds almost funny, right? It's Rome's ancient sewer system, built way back around the 6th century BC under the Etruscan kings. But here's what's unsettling about it. This thing is still functional. 2,500 years later, parts of the Cloaca Maxima still drain water out of the historic center and into the Tiber. Engineers have gone down into that vaulted stone tunnel and found sections so solid, so precisely built, that modern construction crews have genuinely struggled to improve on it. And every so often, workers doing routine maintenance stumble onto side channels that don't appear on any known map. Nobody's fully charted where they lead. Number 9, Vicus Caprarius, right under the Trevi Fountain. Most tourists throw a coin in that fountain and have no idea there's an entire ancient Roman neighborhood sitting beneath their feet. Workers renovating a movie theater in the 1990s broke through the floor and fell into a first-century residential complex. Mosaic floors, ancient pipes, the whole thing still connected to the aqueduct that feeds the fountain above. Water's been running through those channels, uninterrupted, for close to 2,000 years. Archaeologists call it the City of Water. It's beautiful. It's also a little eerie, standing in a room that's been slowly filling with the sound of rushing water in total darkness since before the fall of the empire. Number 8, the Mithraeum under the Circus Maximus. In 1931, construction crews digging near the old chariot racetrack broke into a chamber 13 meters underground and found a fully intact temple to Mithras, a mystery cult that Roman soldiers practiced in near-total secrecy. Frescoes still on the walls, an altar. The thing is, we still don't fully understand what the initiation rituals in these Mithraic temples actually involved. The cult kept almost nothing in writing on purpose. So archaeologists are standing in a real physical room where secret ceremonies happened, with basically no instruction manual for what took place there. Number 7, the Colosseum's Hippodrome. You've probably seen the Colosseum's arena floor. What you don't see in most photos is underneath it, a 2-level maze of tunnels, cages, and elevator shafts where gladiators and wild animals waited in total darkness before being hoisted up into daylight to fight. Restorers working down there in recent years found ancient graffiti scratched into the walls, thought to be left by the workers or prisoners themselves. Imagine the last thing you write before going up to fight a lion is your name scratched into stone. That hypogeum wasn't open to the public for decades because of how unstable and disorienting it is. Narrow, low-ceilinged, and built for machinery, not for people to walk comfortably. Number 6, the Domus Aurea, Nero's Golden House. After a fire destroyed a huge chunk of Rome in 64 AD, Nero built himself a palace so massive and so extravagant that his successors were embarrassed by it. They buried it, literally filled the rooms with dirt, and built new structures on top. When it was rediscovered in the Renaissance, artists like Raphael lowered themselves down on ropes through holes in the ceiling to see the frescoes by torchlight, and what they saw down there shaped Renaissance art itself. Today, the Domus Aurea is still partially unstable. Sections have collapsed over the centuries, and conservators monitor it constantly because an entire hillside park is literally sitting on top of Nero's hollowed-out palace. Number 5, San Clemente Basilica. This one messes with your sense of time. You walk into a normal-looking medieval church, then you go down a staircase, and you're standing in a 4th century basilica. Keep going down, and you're in a 1st century Roman house. And inside that house, another Mithraeum, complete with an underground spring you can still hear running. 3 layers of Rome, stacked on top of each other, spanning almost 2,000 years, all accessible by one staircase. Archaeologists studying San Clemente have said the deeper you go, the harder it becomes to know exactly what you're standing in, because each generation of Romans built directly on top of what came before without fully documenting it. Number 4, the Vatican necropolis. Right underneath St. Peter's Basilica sits an actual ancient Roman cemetery, complete with pagan tombs, mausoleums, and, according to the Vatican's own excavation team, bones believed to belong to St. Peter himself. Access is so restricted that visitors need special written permission months in advance, and even then, only small groups are allowed down at a time. The tunnels are narrow, the air is thick, and researchers have described the identification process for the bones as one of the most scientifically careful and most debated projects in the Vatican's history. Number 3, the Catacombs of Domitilla, one of the largest catacomb networks in Rome, stretching for roughly 9 miles of underground galleries, and one of the few that still actually contains human remains in place. Most catacombs had their bones moved out centuries ago. Domitilla didn't. Guides who lead tours down there talk about sections that are still unexcavated, corridors that trail off into darkness past the roped-off tourist path simply because there hasn't been the funding or the staff to map them fully. 60-plus catacombs are known to exist under Rome. Only 4 are open to the public. Do the math on how much is still down there. Number 2, the Capuchin Crypt. It's technically not ancient Rome. This one's from the 1600s. But I'm including it because it's the closest thing to a physical warning about what all this underground history really means. 4 small rooms decorated entirely with the bones of nearly 4,000 friars, arranged deliberately into patterns on the walls and ceiling, not stacked in piles, arranged. There's a plaque near the exit that reads, roughly, "What you are now, we used to be. What we are now, you will be." Even people who've spent their whole careers around ancient remains say that line stays with them. And now, number 1, the Lupercal, the legendary cave of Romulus and Remus. In January 2007, a team led by archaeologist Irene Iacopi lowered a probe with a camera, then endoscopes and laser scanners 16 meters down into the Palatine Hill, right next to the ruins of Augustus's own house. What they found was a vaulted chamber, 8 meters tall, covered in seashell mosaics and marble, with a white eagle carved into the ceiling, exactly the kind of sanctuary ancient writers said Augustus himself restored to honor the she-wolf cave. Here's the twist, though. Not everyone agrees this is actually the Lupercal. Rome's own former head of archaeology publicly pushed back on the claim, so you've got one of the most exciting discoveries in modern Roman archaeology, and the experts still argue about what they actually found. Either way, nobody's been inside since. It's too fragile to risk a full excavation. It just sits there, 16 meters down, lit once by a camera on a cable, and sealed ever since. Here's what gets me about all of this. Rome isn't a museum with a plaque on it. It's a city built directly on top of itself, layer after layer, for almost 3,000 years. Every time they try to dig a new subway line in Rome, construction stalls because crews hit ancient walls nobody wrote down. That's not bad luck. That's just how much of the city is still buried and still unread. If you made it this far, do yourself a favor and hit subscribe now, because there's a lot more buried history waiting to come up in the next videos. So next time you see a photo of the Colosseum or the Trevi Fountain, remember, that's just the roof. The real story's underneath. If one of these 10 got under your skin, let me know which one down in the comments. And before you go, drop that like. It's what helps this kind of content reach more people. See you in the next one.